This is Leah Michelle, Resistance Chicks, 2017, January 23rd. We've done a lot today.
Stop.
Getting kind of
right
tired.
now. Stop her.
But it's okay, because we're doing it for you.
We love you guys. So this is the last story of the day, and it's kind of cool. Donald Trump signed 3 executive orders today, and I'm going to read you what Cruz said about it. I know a lot of people don't like Cruz, whatever. He's in the know. Let's hear what he has to say. President Trump's action today to reinstate policy to stop U.S. tax dollars from funding abortions overseas, withdraw the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and slow the growth of government bureaucracy is encouraging news for all Americans, creating a new, better course for our country, a course to defend innocent life, spark economic growth, and create more high-paying jobs that put first the interest of workers in Texas and across the entire nation.
It kind of sums it up.
Yeah, so we'll go to some fake news. Just kidding. ABC over here. So President Donald Trump signed 3 presidential memoranda this morning, taking immediate action on at least one main campaign promise. One presidential memorandum called for the U.S. withdrawal from the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, fulfilling a promise made on the campaign trail in a move he says will help American businesses. Now, the withdrawing from the TPP was pretty much bipartisan.
Yeah.
It was led by a lot of progressives, even because of the environmental impact that might have happened, because in other countries they don't have the same environmental laws that we do. Also, it would have taken tariffs off of a lot of, it was 20 nations, and it would have taken tariffs off, allowing for what I quote easier trade, but it also would have hurt the American worker, opening up a lot of jobs to go overseas again, even more so.
And historically, we have relied so much on tariffs, and we actually need to get back to more of that.
Exactly. Trump says that a great thing for the American worker, what we just did. The next presidential memorandum he signed was a hiring freeze on all federal workers except for the military. And then we want to talk about...
It's kind of a big deal.
The biggest one for pro-life people. You wondered what's he going to do. The final presidential memorandum of the morning was reformation of an existing law that bans federal funding for foreign non-government organizations that promote or pay for abortions. But there's actually more to that. So I'm going to listen. We're going to listen to what Sean Spicer, the
Press secretary
has to say.
Trump.
So you unmute that.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, here we go.
Additionally, the President issued a memorandum reestablishing the Mexico City policy, stating that the United States will end the use of taxpayer dollars to fund abortions overseas, along with coercive abortion and sterilization practices. Jennifer Wishon.
Of all the policy or actions that the President could have taken today, he chose to reinstate the Mexico City policy. What message is he sending here? Does he see the elimination, reduction of abortions as an American value? And also, here at home, can the pro-life Americans expect him to put his signature on legislation that will defund Planned Parenthood?
Well, I think the President, it's no secret, has made it very clear that he's a pro-life president. He wants to stand up for all Americans, including the unborn. And I think the reinstatement of this policy is not just something that echoes that value, but respects taxpayer funding as well, and ensures that we're standing up not just for life for the unborn, but for also taxpayer funds that are being spent overseas to perform an action that is contrary to the values of this president, and I think continue to further illustrate, not just to the folks here in this country, but around the world, what a value we place on life.
I really like that. It's pretty powerful. So I think that the way you understand this is, I guess there was already a law. It's called the Mexico City policy, but it wasn't. I guess it really wasn't enforced as well as it should have been. So it's making it a bold move to say, no, we are not going to fund any abortions
or
overseas.
sterilizations. I don't know if you guys quite realize that is something that really does take place in other countries, and used to take place in back doors and things like that by Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood. They were really for the sterilization of just races or people that they deemed unfit. They still do that in other countries, and this is reaffirming the action that the United States is not going to fund that. I don't know if you know what sterilization is. It literally means to take a human being who could normally have children and make it so that they cannot have children. Planned Parenthood did that with a lot of black people, a lot of mentally disabled people.
And I
Hitler
think
did it for the Jews.
It still goes on around the country, and they're using funds for people, whether they want to,
Right.
that maybe you could say they want to be, but they might be coerced into it.
Sure.
Especially in like African nations and things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of Bill Gates wants to depopulate the world and things like that. So
New
there's a
World
lot
Order, Agenda
of
21,
sterilization
that
going
type
on.
of thing.
So we're really excited to see this happen, and we'll just hope that the next couple moves lead to the ending of Roe v. Wade.
Woo!
I mean, the end of abortions in America. I mean, I'm so excited about this. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think for most pro-life people, and I think that, for most of us, we've already known that looking back in history, people will look back on the fact that America did abort babies
As atrocious.
as the way that we looked to the Civil War
Yeah.
and keeping slaves.
Absolutely.
So we are so ashamed of it, and we will once again be ashamed. And I think that that's why there's this line being drawn. I've never seen pro-choice people being so bold as I have
And violent.
in the past
Just
couple
vehement.
days.
Their violence in their language.
I haven't seen them be so bold as to say, no, pro-life people aren't allowed at Women's March.
Right.
I've never seen them say, I don't care. It's not a baby. It's a mass of cells. I mean, I think that most of the people, if the lines are drawn, and I think that a lot of the pro-life information has gotten out there.
Right.
And so once you've seen what abortion does, if you, and you still think it's okay,
Right.
you become so hardened in your
Yeah.
heart. But a lot of people didn't know what abortion was, but before like the internet and before these videos started going on the internet to
Right.
see what an abortion was, how it goes in and they literally rip a leg off, and rip another leg off, and rip a head off, and then they have to
The
put
fetus inside of the mother's body feels pain at its own ripping apart of limbs.
they don't really
feelings
die.
there.
They pull the baby apart to die a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, and then they have to put it back together again to make sure they got all the parts out, because if they leave a baby part in there, you can go septic and die. So you've got these people, and I can't imagine what goes on in your mind. Who's putting a little baby arm, another little baby arm, and partial abortions were happening, and viability where a baby could literally survive outside the womb. I mean, we were talking babies. And there's arms and hands and fingers, and you see them. And when and most people who really see what abortion is, they're like, oh my gosh. But the lines are drawn, man. And
Abraham Lincoln said that he felt that the Civil War was the punishment on America for slavery. And I gotta tell you guys, the demoralization of this country and everything that we're going through that's so painful right now is really only in part.
yeah.
I think there's more punishment to come for the millions and millions and millions of murders
Yeah.
that have taken place
Yeah.
on this sacred soil that has been sullied by that. So this is pretty exciting. I'm waiting to see if Trump puts his money where his mouth is.
This is gonna be so awesome. Thank you, Lord.
Because
All right.
when it boils down to it, you guys, a mother's right to choose does not outweigh a person's right to live. I'm sorry. She has a right to choose to put that child up for adoption 100%. She does not have to raise that child in America. There are so many loving families that would love to have that child. She has that right. But to put her feelings of how emotionally distraught she would be carrying that child to term above the ripping of limbs of a human being that feels that pain.
And I probably
There's no comparison.
pro-choice people haven't listened this far, but if you had, I want you to think about this. Being pregnant, if it's not like drinking water and then you get pregnant.
Right.
It's
It
an
doesn't
act.
you don't catch a cold.
Choose it. And I know that most people say with rape and incest, but then the other argument for that is, should you commit a second crime?
Because
or
one
when
crime
a first
has been
crime
committed.
was committed. You're like, well, 9 months of my life. Listen, if something that was born, it's hard to describe. You can only describe it as something is of you. And a baby will rely on you for 9 months and then be born. Wouldn't you have 9 months of your life be a little uncomfortable just
For a
to
whole
give
life.
a life? To give
Right.
somebody a life?
Here's the thing, when you get raped, that is an atrocious thing that happens. And if you become pregnant because of that rape. That is still part of that atrocious thing that has happened. And so you just kind of have to count it as that. The same thing with a woman who is pregnant, and they often say, well, she may die if we don't abort this child. Well, that's kind of part of the thing. It's just kind of part of the way that life and death go. And I'm sorry, those are the facts of life.
I mean, when a woman's life is in danger, right, then you let doctors decide.
Right.
When there's that's like choosing between two Siamese twins. One's gonna live, one's gonna die. I mean,
Right.
that I can't tell you that part because
Right.
somebody's gonna die.
Right.
If it's gonna be for sure.
Right.
But
let's deal with those cases separately.
Right.
We need to get to the common ground first of if it is just a convenience,
Right.
or an inconvenience.
because y'all just had too much fun and you
Right.
weren't thinking straight.
Exactly.
And you did something that actually is designed to produce a child.
Right.
So-
You guys, come on. It's what happens. It's why God made it so that you're supposed to be married when these things take
So you ready?
place.
All right,
So you're ready.
guys.
This is Lee Michelle, Resistance Chick, signing off, where it is not a conspiracy theory.
If it's
the truth. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to Resistance Chicks and Mass Faith 3. You'll get more of our farm and how-to videos there. We love you guys. Please leave comments. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. It's been amazing. This past few weeks has just... You guys have really lifted our spirits. There's been comments that kind of tear us down, but then there's 20 more that lift us back up again. So we love you guys. Keep it up.
Amen. All right, guys.
I was cold, all alone. No place for home. Every day, so afraid. But you called my name.